People of the internets, welcome. I am your host, as always, Murpho, and this is a little special vlog that I wanted to get out today, Wednesday, November 30th. This might be going up, no, I'm going to try and get it up today. I wanted to get this little bonus video out because it is a nice little predictions for the Game Awards, which surprisingly I didn't know is happening December 1st, which is tomorrow, as of the day I'm shooting. So what I'm going to do here is this is just going to be a really quick vlog where I'm going to go through all the nominees and pick and predict who I believe is going to win or should win. Now, I'm just going to dive right into it. I've got my phone right here. I'm going to be reading the nominees off and giving you my thoughts. So, without further ado, here we go. So, the first category that starts all the way up at the bottom, because I'm going to wait until, because I'm going to save the best one for last, which is, Game of the Year and Studio of the Year. First one is Most Anticipated Game. Now we have the new God of War that was revealed at E3, Horizon Zero Dawn, Mass Effect Andromeda, Red Dead Redemption 2, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. My personal choice is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2. I loved the first Red Dead. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I cannot wait for Red Dead 2. Zelda, yeah, it's going to be good, but I feel like that's been teased for so long that interest is kind of waning. Plus, people aren't exactly sure what to make of the Switch. For Andromeda, Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect is one of my favorite franchises of all time. Mass Effect 3, that ending still left a sour taste in my mouth. And we really don't know exactly what's going to go on with Andromeda. You know that you've been, in stasis for hundreds of years going to the Andromeda galaxy, but that's really all we know, and you're exploring this new galaxy. But that's really all we know. We don't know if it's going to tie into the main series or anything, so I'm kind of reserving my optimism or excitement for that one. Horizon Zero Dawn, same thing as Zelda. Zelda I would put up more because it's a more known series, but it's been teased. It's an interesting concept, but we really haven't seen a ton of it from what I know of, and it's kind of been exposed for almost a little too long. God of War is going to be awesome. I love that it's Norse mythology. Hopefully they represent it better than they did with the Greek mythology of the original God of War games. The gods were great in those games, but having Kratos kill them all was weird. He'll probably do the same with the Norse mythology, but I'm excited because I really love Norse mythology and Vikings. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2 is my pick right there. Now, next up we have a best fan creation, which is Brutal Doom 64, and Enderal, The Shards of the Order. I really don't know all of them. Brutal Doom sounds fun, but I'm not going to make a pick there. The next one is Trending Gamer, presented by Intel. We have Angry Joe, Boogie, 2988, Danny O'Dwyer, and Jacksepticeye, and also Lyric. I don't know Lyrics, I'm not going to pick him. Jacksepticeye, you know what you're getting from him. He's one of the top YouTubers of all time in gaming and just in general, and he deserves the spot where he's at. But I don't think he really. There's this year, since it's trending, not most popular. Danny O'Dwyer is my pick, simply because of the fact that he has just been on fire this last year or so with his work at GameSpot, his exposure, and also his very successful Patreon page for NoClip, which isn't just good for video games as far as Let's Plays, but also for video games as in learning more about games and game development through the documentaries, and I'm really super excited for NoClip when it finally takes off. So he is definitely my pick for Trending Gamer, much like how Greg Miller, my buddy at Kinda Funny, came up and just was trending thanks to the success of Kinda Funny and their success on Patreon. I feel like Danny is kind of like Greg. I don't want to say Greg 2.0 because that's like I feel like that's like doing Danny's effort a disservice and kind of not fair to either him nor Greg. But he is kind of like, he has that very similar kind of story, and I feel like he is trending and he is what's hip and he is kind of what's happening right now. Boogie, really good guy. Again, it's about, and Angry Joe also, I love his reviews. He's hilarious. He's awesome. But those guys, they're really popular, but I wouldn't say they're trending or what's happening. Maybe my finger's off the pulse on that, but I feel like Danny O'Dwyer is what's trending and what's hip and what's happening right now as far as popular gamers go. So hopefully he wins. He's my pick. Best esports game, we've got Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Dota 2, League of Legends, Overwatch, and Street Fighter. Now I feel like Dota 2 and Counter-Strike were kind of just in there as like okay, here you go, guys, go. You're really popular, so we're going to include you, but I don't think they're going to do it. Street Fighter V, I feel like that game is released kind of and I mean, EVO has really become this huge platform, and this year in Vegas was amazing, and the Street Fighter V matches were ridiculous, but I don't feel like it's the top game just yet. But Street Fighter and EVO and fighting games are getting there. They are right up there. Overwatch, I love Overwatch. I think it's one of the best multiplayer games to come out in a long time, and it's good to see that it's getting that esports recognition, but I don't think it's reached the height of a Street Fighter or a League of Legends or even a Dota or a Counter-Strike yet to be considered the best esports game yet. I hope by this time next year my opinion's completely changed and different, and it is. Which leaves League of Legends for me for my top pick. It is the king. Hail to the king. When you sell out Madison Square Garden 2 nights in a row and then sell out the Staples Center, you've got a good thing going, and you deserve to be the best esports game. Now we go to the best esports team, which is SK Telecom T1, Wings Gaming, SK Gaming, Rocks Tigers, and Cloud9. I'm going to go with SK Telecom T1 because they have dominated the League of Legends scene. I don't really know much about esports teams and players, but they're my pick. Esports player, Faker of SK Telecom 1, Coldzera of SK Gaming, Byung-Hyun Woo of StarCraft 2, Infiltration of Team Razor. Well, Byung-Hyun Woo is just an individual player. He plays StarCraft 2. And Hungrybox of Team Liquid. I gotta go again with Faker for SK Telecom because they're playing in the hottest game, the biggest esports game, and he's playing for the biggest team. But again, I'm not as I want to get more into esports and know individual players and teams more. I do watch the games, but I'm not as familiar with the players in the leagues, the players in the teams, as I should be just yet. Best multiplayer game, Battlefield 1, Gears of War 4, Overcooked, Overwatch, and Rainbow Six Siege. Now, Rainbow Six Siege brought a really cool element in the multiplayer, but I feel like it didn't do as well as everybody was expecting. Overcooked I've never played, so I have to pass on that one. Gears of War 4, it's great to see that Gears of War 4 came back and made Gears of War important again, but I don't think it's necessarily the best multiplayer game out there. Battlefield 1, amazing multiplayer. I love it. I love what DICE was able to do with Battlefield 1. But, as I said before, Overwatch to me is the best multiplayer game. Best multiplayer game I've played in years. Hands down, I love it. I just started getting back into it on Twitch. And it's had the popular runaway success for a reason. So Overwatch is my pick for most multiplayer game. Best sports racing game, FIFA 17, Forza Horizon 3, MLB The Show 16, NBA 2K17, and Pro Evolution Soccer. I heard the Pro Evolution Soccer has made a lot of strides, but I hear it's not quite on the level of FIFA, so I don't really play it, but I'm going to nix it there. NBA 2K17 and MLB The Show 16 I hear are good, but they really haven't done anything to really make themselves above and beyond the best sports game out there. Forza Horizon 3, I'm not a big driving game fan. I never really heard much of a buzz or anything about it, so I'm just gonna axe that, which leaves FIFA 17 for the best game. And I feel like, sports games were good this year. I would even argue that NHL 17 should be in here for what it did for EA Sports Hockey League. But 2016 wasn't really a standout year for sports games, whereas it blew our minds, but everything was really good. And I'm going to pick FIFA 17 just because of the journey and how good the journey is, and the fact that, it still has that really strong FIFA gameplay and style, and FIFA Ultimate Team. It's got everything that you're looking for in a soccer game or football game, depending on where you're from. So FIFA 17 wins that one for me. Next one is Best Strategy Game. I got Civilization 6, Fire Emblem Fates, Banner Saga 2, Total War Warhammer, and XCOM 2. XCOM 2 was great. Definitely better than Warhammer and the Banner Saga. I never played Warhammer, Banner Saga, or Fire Emblem Fates, but I would like to say that XCOM 2 is probably better. That's my biased opinion, just straight out. Banner Saga 2, I've heard really good things about the Banner Saga, but I heard Banner Saga 2 wasn't as good. And like I said, XCOM 2 is really good, but it's not Civilization. Civilization has been the standard bearer for strategy games for years now. Years. Since Civ 4, I would argue, if not sooner. And I heard... I haven't played Civ 6 because Civ 5 and 4 did horrible things to me, and I don't have that much free time. I can't afford to be getting no sleep for days on end just so I can squeeze in some Civ 6 gameplay. So, but I've heard that the additions it made were amazing, and it's just as good as its predecessor, so that's going to get my pick there. Best family game, we got Dragon Quest Builders, Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, Pokemon Go, Ratchet and Clank, and Skylanders Imaginators. I feel like I can't vote for Skylanders because of the decline in those kinds of games, with what we learned with Disney Infinity. Also, I feel like Skylanders' popularity has kind of waned. I might be wrong. Who knows about the sale figures? I know it's been doing did gangbusters for Activision in the past. Ratchet and Clank, I heard good things. Didn't really stand out. Dragon Quest Builders, again, I feel like that's just there. Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens, I heard was amazing. It's one of the few Star Wars games I have not played yet. But I gotta give it to Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go, regardless of what happened and what state it's in now, I still play it, by the way. Pokemon Go was an amazing phenomenon that transcended gaming and transcended generations. And it's one of the best family games because it got families to come together. We had different generations. We had parents who played Gen 1 Pokemon and watched the original Pokemon show, introducing or playing a Pokemon game with their children who were just getting into Pokemon or just getting introduced into Pokemon, and we had generations coming together. And also, it allowed parents to get kids who were shy or autistic to go out into the world and interact with people and improve their social skills and work on their social skills and find camaraderie with other people through this game. I feel like it's got to go to Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go, like I said, transcended gaming. And it definitely deserves to be the best family game for what it did for families. Even if that impact, that effect is now gone, I still feel it lingers. Even if it's not as good as it used to be when it first came out, it still did a lot for people and a lot for families in that brief time. On a best fighting game, we've got Killer Instinct Season 3, King of Fighters 14, Pokken Tournament, and Street Fighter 5. Killer Instinct, I don't feel like Killer Instinct took off quite like it was expecting to be on Xbox One. King of Fighters, always a good franchise, but it's always going to be in the shadows of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. I don't think it's ever going to overcome that. I would pick Street Fighter 5, but Street Fighter 5 released with a lot of problems. Didn't really have a big roster. The matchmaking was kind of eh. I was kind of underwhelmed with Street Fighter 5, so I'm going to give it to another Pokemon game, Pokken Tournament, because even though I haven't played it, I've heard nothing but great things and how good a fighting game this is and how much fun it is and how it feels almost like Pokemon Stadium on the N64. So I'm going to give that in my prediction to Pokken Tournament. And then the next one, we have Best Role-Playing Game, which is Dark Souls 3, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, World of Warcraft Legion, and Xenoblade Chronicles X. No offense to World of Warcraft, one of the greatest games in the history of all time history, but it's waning, and it's not as popular as it used to be, and I can't see an expansion getting that award. Xenoblade Chronicles, I'm sure, is a good game, but it's not a very well-recognized franchise. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt Blood and Wine, Witcher 3 was amazing, and I heard that this expansion was great, but I feel like I can't give it to an expansion. Deus Ex Mankind Divided as a sequel I heard was really, really good, but again, Blood and Wine and Deus Ex, I feel like if they were in this category, they'd be neck and neck, but unfortunately they're in the same category as Dark Souls 3. And Dark Souls is a franchise that will not stop, will not die. I have never played it. I tried Bloodborne, as you guys remember from Up, Up, Down, Down. But those games are way too hard for me, and I can't do it. But there is a huge audience, and it's hugely popular and hugely successful for a reason. And I see that reason. Even though it's not my type of game, I get it. I understand why it's so popular. And that's why Dark Souls 3 has done so good yet again for that series. And that's why I'm picking Dark Souls 3 for best role-playing game. Best action-adventure game. We got Dishonored 2, Hitman, Hyper Light Drifter, Ratchet and Clank, and Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Hitman and Hyper Light Drifter and Ratchet and Clank, I feel, are just in there to fill out the nominees. I'm sure they're all good games, but it really comes down to Dishonored 2 and Uncharted 4. And I haven't touched on Dishonored 2. I haven't heard anything good or bad about the game. It looks great, but when you compare it to Uncharted 4, they sent off to Nathan Drake, and how amazingly good that game was, I feel like you have to give it to Uncharted 4. Dishonored 2, I'm sure has a very good shot of upsetting Uncharted 4, but I can't go against Uncharted 4 on that one. Next is Best Action Game, which really should be Best Shooter Game when you listen to all the nominees. It really should just be Best Shooter, because that's what they are. They're not action games. Action games are also action-adventure games. We have Battlefield 1, Doom, Gears of War 4, Overwatch, and Titanfall 2. I've heard great things about Titanfall 2, but based on the competition it's up against, I don't think it's going to cut it. Gears of War 4, again, great job in revitalizing the franchise and making it fun again. But this is a stacked year for action games and shooters, and I feel like it can't compete. Doom, again, just like Gears of War 4, brought back a old franchise with a great reboot or great sequel, but again, competition it's up against? Unfortunately, I don't think that's it. Now, you guys would think, because I voted it best multiplayer game and praised it so much for esports, that I would go with Overwatch. I'm not going to. Overwatch is a great action game and a great shooter, but I don't think it was the best. It was the better multiplayer game for sure, but the better overall package, it was not, because a lot of its story was done through lore videos that you had to find on the outside, and it's mostly just running around and playing a game. However, Battlefield 1 is my pick, because Battlefield 1 was amazing. It did what nobody thought could be done and made a good World War I game. The battle, especially in the multiplayer, isn't entirely true to how horrific that war was, but in the campaign, it captured just the helplessness and hopelessness and the brutality of what was supposed to be the war to end all wars. And it completely destroyed the romanticism about a lot of things from World War I, like the glory of fighter pilots, and just how brutal fighting in the trenches and just up close and personal and rough those fights were. And again, like I said, the multiplayer, it just loses out to Overwatch to me, because it is so fun, so addictive, and it is so jarring to see these battlefields going on where there's regular dirigibles up and giant dirigibles forming, or armored trains in all these different locations, and you see the war-torn fields of France and Germany and Italy where there's nothing but gray mud everywhere, and trees have no leaves left and they're barely clinging on to the soil from which their roots grow, and buildings are just shells of their former selves and crumbles. I feel like DICE nailed it with this one. They killed it, and I hope they do more historical war games like this if they don't go back to World War I. That was the best action game to me. Best VR game. Now, I'm going to preface this with I've never played any of these games, so I'm just going to pick one randomly. Arkham VR, Eve Valkyrie, Job Simulator, Res Infinite, and Thumper. There was a game that I played for PSVR, I can't remember the name of it, that I think was better than all this that's not in here. However, if I'm going to pick, I'm just going to randomly pick Arkham VR because of the name recognition, but it could very well go to anybody. Best mobile handheld game. Clash Royale, Fire Emblem Fates, Monster Hunter Generations, Pokemon Go, and Severed. I think you guys know what I'm going with. As successful as Clash Royale is, that gets an honorable mention for me in this category because of just how good the Clash series is and how popular it is, and I get it. I played it. It's not my cup of tea. I can see how it's addicting, and I get it. But, again, Pokemon Go transcended gaming and did so much for people, not just for families like I mentioned, but also for small businesses. It allowed me personally to reconnect with friends that I hadn't connected with in a while, interact and meet so many new people, do some great stuff on Up Up Down Down with Kathy Kelly. So for me personally, and then just what it did as a whole, from transcending gaming and becoming like a pop culture event, gotta give it to Pokemon Go. Then we move on to best indie game. I don't believe I haven't played any of these, so I'm just gonna pick based on impressions. Firewatch, Hyper Light Drifter, Inside, Stardew Valley, The Witness. Since I haven't played any of these games, I'm going to leave it between Inside and Firewatch. I think it's going to be one of those two games, because Firewatch is a beautiful game, and Inside I've heard lots of great things about. Okay, well, we're going to move on to Games for Impact Award. I don't know any of these games, so I'm just going to list off, and I can't make a judgment on these, so I'm just going to list them off so you guys know about them. 1979 Revolution by Ink Stories, Blockhood by Plethora Project / Devolver Digital, Orwell by Osmotic Studios / Surprise Attack, Sea Hero Quest by Glitchers, and That Dragon Cancer by Numinous Games. Now, moving on to Best Performance. We have Alex Hernandez as Lincoln Clay in Mafia 3, the only nomination the Mafia 3 got, which is unfortunate. I'm really sad that didn't pan out the way I was hoping it would be. Cissy Jones as Delilah in Firewatch. Emily Rose as Elena in Uncharted 4. Nolan North as Nathan Drake in Uncharted 4. Rich Somer as Henry in Firewatch. And then Troy Baker as Sam Drake in Uncharted 4. I feel like this has to go to Uncharted. Again, Mafia 3 unfortunately was not as good as people expected. Firewatch was great, but Uncharted 4 was such a good game. And so well acted. And a lot of that was also motion capture, which is not just, and this is best performance, not just best voice actor. So gotta factor in that they did even more than the Firewatch people. Who do I pick? I mean, Troy Baker was freaking amazing as Sam Drake. I wasn't expecting to like Sam Drake nearly as much as I did, and Troy Baker made that performance. That's why he is one of the top stars in video game acting and voice acting today. However, I'm not going to pick him. Emily Rose, amazing as Elena. Amazing. And she did a great job in this one, but I don't think her performance topped Sam and Nate. I think that's simply because of the fact that she didn't play as big of a role as she did in previous games, like Uncharted 1 and 2. I gotta give it to Nolan North. Uncharted 4 was a send-off to Nathan Drake. And I feel like Nolan North has owned and killed this character since, I think it was 2007, about 9 years ago that Uncharted 1 came out. And I feel like Nolan just deserves this award. He killed it. He did a great job as Nate. I almost wanted to give this to Troy because I think Sam is almost better. But yeah, my pick goes to Nolan North. There's a reason why he's the best video game voice actor out there today. And it's because of this character, because of Nathan Drake. Now we're moving on to some of the bigger ones. Well, that was one of the bigger ones. Best Music Sound Design. Battlefield 1, Doom, Inside, Res Infinite, Thumper. Thumper, Res Infinite, and Inside I have not played. I hear are really good. Inside might deserve it. Doom was great, but I gotta give it to Battlefield 1. Again, for the reason that they perfectly captured World War I. And the music plucked at your heartstrings so well, and they captured the sound design of everything that went on in World War I perfectly. From the cracking of the guns, to the firing of the tanks, to people crying out in desperation, scenes where you were trying to sneak your way through trenches and you had to listen to the poor people who were just left for dead in the trenches, moaning and crying for somebody to help them and save them. Just, you can't beat that. It's got to go to Battlefield 1 in my opinion. Best Art Direction. Next category, we got Abzu, Firewatch, Inside, Overwatch, and Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4, gorgeous game. Overwatch, gorgeous game. Inside, another gorgeous game from what I've seen, but I feel like I have to give it to the cel-shaded stylings of Firewatch. I never played Firewatch, but the one thing that always pulled me to Firewatch was its art style and art direction. Abzu again also was good, and as much as I think as beautiful as I feel like Uncharted 4 is, and as awesome I love the stylizings of Overwatch, I think Firewatch was very unique, and that was, when I think of that game, I think beautiful game, unique art direction, one-of-a-kind art direction, that art, that imagery. So I gotta give it to Firewatch. Best narrative. We've got Firewatch, Inside, Mafia 3, so I was wrong, Mafia has another one, Oxenfree, and Uncharted 4. Never played Oxenfree. Mafia 3 I heard was a big disappointment. Leave that out. Inside I hear probably could win. Inside, Firewatch, and Uncharted 4 is probably what it's going to come down to. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them win, but I'm going to give it to Uncharted 4 because, again, send off to Nathan Drake. Such a great story. A story we didn't even think was necessary or needed, but it happened. So I'm going to give it to Uncharted 4. Best Studio / Game Direction. Blizzard, DICE, id Software, Naughty Dog, and Respawn. God damn, this is like probably the hardest one to pick a category from, because all these developers deserve praise for what they were able to do for their properties this year. Respawn has done a great job with Titanfall 2 and really cemented themselves as, former Infinity Ward to be taken seriously in the industry. Naughty Dog, again, with Uncharted 4, sent off Nathan Drake in such a great way. id Software brought Doom back and made it great again. DICE killed it with World War I, but I feel like I gotta give it to Blizzard, because Overwatch was the first independent property since World of Warcraft came out. And even then, it wasn't like a original property. It was based off of Warcraft, so like in a long time, and they killed it. And this was a project that was going to be another project. They killed that, and then from the ashes came Overwatch. And Blizzard cements again why, just because they haven't this is their first major release in a while, or a significant release since World of Warcraft and its expansions, why it shouldn't be taken seriously and why it should be seen as a juggernaut that it is. Like I said, it was close to me for best action game. Had it not been competing with Battlefield 1. It was very close up there with esports. I think it's going to become one of the best esports games, potentially rivaling League of Legends. It's the best multiplayer game that I've played in so long, so I gotta give it tip of the cap to Blizzard. Now for the final big one, Game of the Year. Our nominees are Doom, Inside, Overwatch, Titanfall 2, and Uncharted 4. Titanfall 2, really good. Can't compete with the competition it's up against. Same with Inside. Doom, had Overwatch and Uncharted 4 not released, I'd give it to them. This is going to come down to Uncharted 4 and Overwatch. And as much as an Uncharted fanboy as I am, and how much I want to vote for Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, I feel like I gotta give it to Overwatch, because Overwatch took the world by storm. Nobody saw this kind of success coming. It came out of nowhere, and for all the reasons that I said before. When we're looking at Game of the Year, I'm not just looking at it as best game in its genre, which is why I voted Battlefield 1 over Overwatch, because I think in its genre as a complete game in that genre, it's better. But when we're thinking of Game of the Year, I think we're thinking overall as a game that has made the most significant impact on people. I would argue that Pokemon Go should be in the conversation at least. Should have been nominated. And I might have voted for it. But I gotta give it to Overwatch because it took the world by storm. It's going to become an esports juggernaut. It's going to be around for a long time. Blizzard is back. It's the best multiplayer game I've played in so long. Characters are great. Art style's great. I wish they could have expanded the lore and made a single-player version. That's my only gripe against it. And I really want to give it to Uncharted 4, but if I'm looking at Game of the Year as far as like what's the better overall game and what game made a better impact in gaming in 2016, I gotta give it to Overwatch. Overwatch is your Game of the Year. And so that, I believe, is the second award I've given to Overwatch. Third, if you count that I gave Blizzard the developers spot. So, sorry Uncharted, but I did give you quite a few other ones, like Best Action Adventure, Best Narrative, and Best Performance. So, guys, there you go. Those are my predictions for the Game Awards, which will be happening tomorrow night. I don't even think I'm going to edit this video. I might just put it straight up. There might be a couple jump cuts, but I want to get it up as quickly as possible to you guys. Let me know what you guys think, what you are predicting, who you think is going to win in these games. I will put the link for the Game Awards below in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Of course, find me on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at L_Murpho. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/RealLMurpho. My Patreon page is patreon.com/LMurpho. Guys, I really would appreciate any support you guys can give there. That gives me credence and belief that I could potentially do this full-time as a career or as an actual job. So I'd really appreciate it if you can support me there and you get cool rewards. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until the next video, may your nerd/game be true.